Hello, I'm Brian Hurlbert, President of the Las Vegas Golf Hall of Fame. We're going to vary just a little bit tonight from our traditional video tribute for Mr. Erwin Molaski, our first inductee. He's one of the most historical figures in all of Las Vegas, golf included, and we recently sat down with him for a comprehensive interview. We hope you enjoy our time with him as much as we did.
I used to play golf every day of my life for a while, and if I couldn't get 18 in, I got at least 9 in every day. And then it became an adjunct to my business. I was very successful in building golf course communities. Paradise Homes developed an area bordered by Desert Inn Road and Paradise and Eastern and Flamingo. So that was a lot of ground. And we built a golf course. Usually golf courses are about 100, 110 acres. This was 160 acres because we interspersed housing, legs of houses in between the different holes. And so every house had a golf course view. And we had parks there for the children. We had baseball teams on the Paradise Palms properties, and they played other schools and other teams, and it was great for the children to have a belonging. And so that is a favorite memory of mine. And I also was very successful in building golf courses that the PGA Tour was on. I was a tour sponsor for 35 years of the Tournament of Champions. Now the Tournament of Champions is not quite the Masters, but just right in back of it. I had a partner by the name of Allard Rowan, and he was this tour sponsor, and I helped him. And but 35 years is a long time to be a sponsor on the tour of a major tournament. So first, the Tournament Champions was at the Desert Inn, the original Desert Inn, and then when Howard Hughes moved to Las Vegas, he didn't want everybody on the golf course, all the crowds that were attracted by a tournament, to point up to the penthouse and say, that's where Howard Hughes lives. So he told us that we could move it. It's a very valuable asset. We had the biggest names in golf. The qualifications to get into the Tournament of Champions, that you had to have won a tournament in the previous 12 months. So it was a very select group of pros that were able to do that. And it doesn't sound like a lot today, but the guy that finished last in the tournament would get like $1,000 and free rooms and booze and food, and have his wife down there and go to the spa and all that. So they were always looked forward to winning a tournament because it allowed them to come to Las Vegas as a complimentary player with their families. So they always had a great time. And so because of that, we got to know all the pros. And you name it, Billy Casper, Arnold Palmer, Jack Nicklaus, Lee Trevino, every one of the pros in those days that qualified for this tournament. And this is the one they looked forward to all their lives. And so when Mr. Hughes didn't want the tournament anymore, we were glad, and we moved it to what we called the Stardust Golf Course in those years. And so we gladly moved it to, not only to accommodate Mr. Hughes, but who was a nice guy, a very nice man. I know him quite well. He was just a little eccentric, that's all. He was a terrific guy. And by the way, I used to play golf with him. He was a good golfer, years and years before that. The golf tournament was successful from the day we started, probably because Las Vegas is a town that allows gambling and betting on tournaments. And so we used to have what we call a Calcutta. Today, people don't know what a Calcutta was. And it was a gathering the night before the tournament of all the pros, and they would go into a room with tuxedos on, black tie, the whole thing, and they had people fly in from all over the world to attend that Calcutta. And what they did is they auctioned off the players. Who would win, who would come in second, who would come in third. And they raised so much money, and it went to Damon Runyon charity. That was one of the first charities for cancer. Made a lot of money over the years because the Calcutta was unusual because it could only be held in Las Vegas. It couldn't be held at the Masters or anyplace else. They probably would have scorned it because of the Masters' reputation. But with us in a town that gambled, it was the most sought-after ticket there was. You want to hear a story about the tournament champions? About
Yes.
Gene Littler?
Yes.
Gene Littler was a pro golfer who was a fabulous golfer, but I would call him in the middle of the pack or toward the end of the pack. So we used to have celebrities auction off the players. So one of these celebrities was Frankie Lane. Mule Train, remember the songs like that? Okay, he was very, well-known guy. And so we used to have a different celebrity auction off each golfer. So when it came time for Gene Littler, he didn't know what he was doing, but he was auctioning them off. 20,000, 25,000. Finally, he tried to get it up from 25,000 to 30, and he said, if nobody else will bid 30, I'll bid 30. He knew this much about golf. And so he tried to get a higher bid, he couldn't, so he got stuck with him, okay? So he followed him for 72 holes every day because he had all that money invested in him. He was hoping he'd come in like 5th or 6th, maybe he'd get his money back. And Gene Littler won the tournament. So he won $300,000 or some big number like that without knowing zippo about golf. So the next year when Gene Littler's name came up, again they asked him to auction him off. And this time he went for like 40 or 50,000, and this time Frankie Lane was kind of stuck by bidding on him because he had won all that money. So he bid on him the second year. Sure enough, he won the second year. So he won like $500,000. And the same story is true for the third year. He had to bid on him again, and he auctioned him off again. This time he went for like $70,000, and he won for the third year in a row. So he became a big golf fan after that. Wouldn't you? You're taking me back a long time. But I didn't build the original Las Vegas Country Club. It was built by a guy by the name of Marvin Crater, who owned the Boston Celtics, among many other things. And he built the clubhouse, which he could have probably built cheaper out of $100 bills than the material that he used. And he didn't spare anything. But the problem, he never had a pro that knew how to develop golf to the fineness that it needs. And he had a lot of people who used to play there as their own private golf course. One of them, for example, was Dean Martin, who was a good friend of mine. And they would all play for free, and they would have their own private country club among 6 or 8 people. Loser, as far as finances are concerned. So when we bought a lot of Crater's properties all over the country, one of them was the Las Vegas Country Club. Well, I knew Arnold quite well, and a little emotional because of his passing. And I knew his wife, Winnie, and we used to pal around together on and off the golf course. You could imagine a young kid playing golf with Arnold Palmer. I knew Howard Hughes when he used to sneak into town and go out. He went with a girl by the name of Jean Peters. She was a movie actress, and she was a beauty queen from Ohio. I think she went to Ohio State. And so he and she and I and whomever used to go around the town, pal around. And that was before golf was even mentioned. But I did play golf with him at other golf courses. Desert Inn hadn't been built yet. He was a terrific guy, very generous and very thoughtful. He was a pal and he was a good guy. I don't know if you remember the Desert Inn golf course, but there was a hole, I think it was 15, I'm not sure. It was a long par 4, and he was in the trap, on the fairway trap, and he was buried in it. And I was standing right above him. I had just met him, and he took out an iron, and pow, about 2 feet from the pin. This guy's real, you know? So that was my fondest memory of meeting Jack Nicklaus. He was a great player and a great human being. He was a prince among men. I have many wonderful stories about Kirk. I bought his apartment in New York at the Pierre from him and asked him to name a price. And he said, "I'm not going to name a price with you, Irwin. Pay me what you want to pay me." So putting me on my honor. Any event, I bought his apartment from him, and he was just the most wonderful guy. He did a lot for everything. So I played with Mickey Wright, and there was about 10,000 people out there to open his new golf course, and she smacked it right down the middle, about 220. And I got up there and dubbed it. It went up in the air and down about 20 yards. So I was so embarrassed. And Mickey said, "I'll let you have a mulligan." Well, she was, in my opinion, she was the best lady player ever. She was quite the lady and quite the athlete. So I built this golf course. I called it the Stardust Golf Course because the Stardust sponsored it. And we had the LPGA, which is the ladies' PGA tournament there that year, to open the golf course. So I brought them here. And so I'm very proud of the fact that I brought them to Las Vegas. And I love the women's golf tournament. I can mention names of lady golfers that you probably never even heard of. I'd like to be a part of the game for many more years. I'm 89, and I'm proud of the fact that I was associated with golf, and I'd like to be a part of it for many, many more years.